Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
Picture a lighthouse in a storm. For years, it burns every bulb it has, all night, every night, guiding every ship that passes, even the ones that never once turn back to say thank you. And then one day, the lighthouse simply dims itself. Not because it's broken, because it finally understood something. It cannot burn forever for boats that were never really lost. They just liked the free light. That's what's happening to you right now. You've started walking away from people. Not with a dramatic exit, no slammed doors, no big speech. Just quietly, one name at a time, you've stopped answering. And here's the part that catches you off guard. You don't feel guilty. You don't feel like the villain in someone else's story. You feel light. You feel like a window that's finally been cracked open after being sealed shut for years. Everyone around you has a theory. Your aunt thinks you've gotten too proud. Your old friend thinks you've changed. Somebody on your timeline is always talking about the loneliness epidemic sweeping the world, and here you are, doing the opposite, shrinking your circle on purpose. So which is it? Are you isolating yourself into a smaller, colder life? Or is your mind doing something far smarter than anyone around you realizes? Let's actually look inside the machinery of what's happening in your brain, because the truth is far more interesting than you've changed. W-H-A-T, Ace-Tuoli, H-A-P-P-E-N-I-N-G. Here's the first thing to understand. This didn't happen overnight. You didn't wake up on a random Tuesday and decide to become distant. This is the result of years of math your nervous system was quietly doing in the background. Think about who you used to be. You were the friend who answered the 2 a.m. text, the one who sat on video calls for 3 hours while someone cried about a breakup you weren't even involved in. You held space for their work stress, their family drama, their heartbreak, their spiraling thoughts at midnight. You gave advice. You showed up. Every single time. Then one day, your own world cracked. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe your health scared you. Maybe you just hit a wall of exhaustion you couldn't explain. And in that moment, when you needed someone to hold your hand for once, you looked around the room and it was empty. There's an actual clinical name for what you went through. It's called compassion fatigue. This term was first used to describe nurses, ER doctors, and therapists. People whose entire job is absorbing other people's pain day after day until their own emotional tank runs dry. But you don't need a medical degree to experience it. You just need to spend years being everyone's emotional shock absorber while nobody checks if you're still standing. Your energy didn't vanish in one moment. It leaked out through 1,000 small withdrawals. Every time you put someone else's crisis ahead of your own peace. And eventually, your system did what any overloaded circuit does. It tripped the breaker. It shut down. So when you start pulling back from certain people, it isn't cruelty. It's your body finally saying, I can't keep pouring from an empty cup. You're not abandoning them. You're rescuing yourself. But there's a deeper layer here. Why does even the thought of certain people now make your chest tighten? Why does seeing their name light up your phone feel like a tiny electric shock instead of a moment of joy? Think of your favorite plant sitting on a windowsill. Give it sunlight and water, and its leaves stretch open toward the light. But expose it to nothing but harsh wind and drought, and the same plant curls inward to survive. It's not being dramatic. It's protecting its own cells. Your nervous system works the same way. Dr. Stephen Porges, the researcher behind what's known as Polyvagal Theory, explains that our nervous system runs on different modes depending on how safe or unsafe our environment feels. When things feel safe, we lean in, we talk, we laugh, we open up. But when the brain keeps registering stress, disappointment, or being used, it flips into a protective mode. And in that mode, the body does something incredibly simple. It pulls back. It goes quiet. It conserves whatever fuel is left. So that instinct to withdraw from someone isn't random moodiness. It's your nervous system whispering, this relationship costs more than it gives. Time to protect what's left of you. Now here's the question that goes even deeper. Why is your nervous system so much more sensitive to these signals than other people's? To answer that, we have to rewind all the way back to childhood. For a lot of people who now prefer silence over small talk, this wiring was installed a long, long time ago. Picture a child growing up in a house where love wasn't guaranteed, where the temperature of the room could shift in seconds. 1 minute it's quiet. The next, a door slams, voices rise, and the air turns thick with tension nobody explains. In that house, the adult's emotions took up all the oxygen, while the child's feelings were treated like background noise. Something to manage quietly, not something that mattered. If you were that child, you couldn't fight back. You were too small, too powerless. So instead, you adapted the only way you could. You became a human weather app. You learned to predict storms before they hit. You could read a change in someone's breathing, a shift in their footsteps, and know, in your bones, that trouble was 2 minutes away. You learned to shrink yourself, go quiet, disappear into the wallpaper, just to keep the peace. You grew up fast, too fast. Psychology has a name for this blueprint too. It comes from attachment theory, developed by researchers John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. Their work shows that our earliest bonds with caregivers create a kind of internal map, one that quietly shapes how we build every relationship that comes after. When a child grows up having to constantly monitor an unpredictable adult's mood, they learn early that safety isn't something you're given. It's something you have to hunt for. Instead of tuning into their own needs, they train themselves to scan everyone else's face for danger. They learn to smooth things over, to keep the peace, to put other people's comfort first. Fast forward to adulthood, and this shows up as a strange loop. A person who craves closeness but is terrified of being drained by it. That's why so many people give and give in relationships, until the moment they realize they're bleeding out and their self-protection instinct finally kicks the door open and says, enough. But don't mistake this for weakness or coldness or brokenness. What you've actually built, without even realizing it, is a superpower. Most people don't walk away after one disappointment. But you've started noticing something most people miss entirely. The pattern. You've noticed the friend who only texts you when their car breaks down or their heart does. Weeks of silence. Then suddenly, hey, can we talk? I need advice. At first, you think it's a coincidence. Then it happens again next month. And the month after that. Same script, different day. Or maybe it's the person who showers you with compliments, but every single one comes wrapped around a favor. A ride to the airport, a loan just this once, a small task that somehow turns into your entire weekend. Or the one who love bombs you at the start. Daily messages, big promises, grand plans for the future, and then vanishes into thin air the moment things get real, leaving you standing there wondering what on earth just happened. When these things repeat enough times, something clicks. You're not imagining it. You're recognizing a story you've read before. Neuroscience actually backs this up. Researchers describe the brain as a prediction machine, constantly cataloging past behavior to forecast what's likely to happen next. Some studies suggest that people who experienced emotional stress early in life develop a heightened social radar. The parts of the brain responsible for detecting danger and reading emotional cues fire faster and sharper than average. In plain terms, your brain has been quietly collecting data on people for years. So when the same red flags show up again, empty apologies, one-sided effort, hot and cold affection, your mind runs the numbers and concludes, if this story keeps playing, the ending won't change. And the moment you recognize that pattern is often the exact moment you choose to close the book, not because you're cold, because you finally learn to trust your own data. Of course, the world doesn't always applaud this growth. People will say you're building walls, that you've become too guarded, too selective, too much. But they're confusing two completely different things, walls and boundaries. Look at your life, honestly. Maybe you've quietly stepped back from 5 people, maybe 10. You've stopped showing up to gatherings that leave you feeling more empty than full. But you still have that one friend you can sit with in total silence and feel completely at ease. That one person you can call at midnight and cry to without being judged for it. So you're not shutting the world out. You're doing something far more intentional. You're practicing boundaries. Here's the difference. A wall is built out of fear. It's blind. It blocks everyone equally, the good and the harmful. And in the process, it traps you inside your own isolation. A boundary is nothing like that. A boundary is a front door with a lock and a peephole. It's built from self-respect, not fear. It lets in the people who bring warmth and honesty, and it keeps out the ones who only ever bring chaos. Letting someone go doesn't mean you hate people. It means you finally love your own peace enough to stop being everyone's emotional dumping ground. And once those boundaries are in place, you stumble onto a truth most people never fully grasp in their entire lives. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Have you ever stood in a room packed with people? Music thumping, laughter everywhere, drinks in every hand, and still felt like a ghost nobody could see? That is loneliness. Loneliness has nothing to do with how many people are in the room. It's the ache of being surrounded by noise that never actually reaches you. Now compare that to a quiet Sunday morning. You're alone in your kitchen, coffee steaming, a book open on the counter. Maybe you're just staring out the window at nothing in particular. Your phone is silent. Nobody needs anything from you. And in that stillness, something in your chest finally unclenches. That is not loneliness. That's what researchers in self-determination theory call constructive solitude. Alone time you choose, not time that's forced on you. This kind of solitude works like an emotional detox. It restores the energy you burned giving to everyone else. It sharpens your ability to hear your own voice again, instead of the constant hum of everyone else's opinions. And it dramatically lowers the social pressure you didn't even realize you'd been carrying like a backpack full of rocks. You are not hiding in the dark. You're charging your batteries in a room only you get to enter. Something else shifts once your life gets quieter. It's not that people change. It's that your vision does. Before, when someone hurt you, your instinct was to defend them in your own head. Maybe they're just going through something. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe if I just give it more time. So you extended more patience, more grace, more second chances than they'd ever earned. But after enough silence, enough space, something in you recalibrates. You stop writing excuses on other people's behalf. You start noticing a simple, almost uncomfortable truth. People tell you who they are, not with their words, but with their patterns, how they treat your boundaries, whether they show up when it costs them something, whether their apologies come with actual change or just more empty promises. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity. You've simply stopped trying to fix relationships that were never yours to fix in the first place. So here's the real question to sit with. Does having more people in your life actually make you happier? We're raised on the idea that a bigger circle means a fuller life. More friends, more plans, more names in your contacts. But somewhere along the way, a lot of us discover the opposite truth. Not every relationship feeds you. Some make you feel completely seen, safe, free to just be. Others leave you constantly tense, constantly over-explaining yourself, constantly trading your peace just to keep the illusion of fine. Eventually, you realize life isn't measured by how many people surround you. It's measured by how safe you feel standing next to them. So if your circle has gotten smaller lately, if your group chats are quieter, if your contact list has shrunk, but the people still standing beside you are the ones who respect your silence, who never demand an explanation for your boundaries, who make your shoulders drop the second they walk in the room. You didn't lose anything. You simply cleared out the static to make room for what was real all along. Growing up was never really about collecting more people. It was about learning who actually deserves a seat at your table. So if your world today feels smaller but calmer, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing exactly the right thing. If this video helped you understand your own mind a little better, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is built entirely around helping you protect your peace and understand the why behind what you feel. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had to quietly let someone go for your own sanity? I read every single one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, don't just like this video. Send it to them directly. That one share might be exactly the permission they've been waiting for. I'm here every week, digging into the quiet corners of the human mind. See you in the next one.